Another one.
So we start off with this one: overwhelming responsibilities. I've been thrown into a project too. All right, here comes the list: set up test automation from scratch, set up, maintain CI CD pipelines, design test cases and report bugs, attend every technical meeting, correct outdated story specifications, do manual tests for each failure in the end of the sprint, automate test cases, set up reporting, create Docker images to run all the tests we don't have the hardware to test it against yet. Teach a fossil how to use the whole thing. I don't know what a fossil is, but hopefully you're not making fun of someone's age. Jeez, that's not nice. All right. I am the only guy doing all this. Feels a little overwhelming, to be honest. It's exciting and challenging, but I can't seem to keep up. Is this what is expected of a test automation engineer, or do we, or is this what is expected of a test automation engineer to do, or are we short of people here? No one else knows anything about QA, and they are just recently moving from waterfall to agile. Just recently? Should have been done that a long time ago, right? The size of the team is about 15. So that is a tough one, right? Because all those things that you listed, I pretty much do those things as well. I mean, we have a lot of things already in place. With like, we don't have like I didn't have to set up test automation from scratch at this particular company, but at other companies, I did have to set it up from scratch. Had to I had to set up my own CI pipeline. Design test cases, report bugs. I did attend every technical meeting on two teams, and correcting the outdated specifications, do the manual test, automate them, set up the reporting. I did all of that, right? But the difference is, at one company, I was able to have did have some outsourced QAs, and I would assign them to do certain things and stuff like that. And at my current company, we have a smaller team. So like when you say the size of your team is 15, my question would be, how many developers do you have with that size team of 15? It's If it's 15, like let's okay, let's say you have a scrum master and a product owner. And so let's say, and then you have yourself, then that would make 12 developers, maybe, which that is entirely too many for one QA person. So I think you're short on staff of QA. And if no one else knows anything about QA, I think it would be, if you're able to do all of this, I think you would be capable of training someone to be able to work on this with you, because there is no way that they need like they don't even need 10 to 12 developers. So they can easily take two of those developers and you could train them. And because like if those developers are able to develop, and they should be able to develop and learn a testing mindset, and then you can implement that in them. So you don't have to teach a fossil. You can teach an actual human being who is educated and stuff like that. So I mean, the things that you do, it's totally normal for a QA person, which I didn't start the clock, but whatever. Start it now. Start it now. Right? But I think it's normal, the things that you do. I've done all these things, but I would say that the amount that you have to do, like, because usually it's about 3 to 4 developers per QA. So if it's like even a 6 to 10 developers for just you, that's way too much. Because like if they're all working on something, it's impossible for you to test all of that stuff. You're definitely gonna miss stuff. There's gonna be defects and bugs and stuff like that, which it doesn't have to be that way, you know. So I would definitely recommend that you speak to your manager, right? See what can be done to lessen the burden on you, because I think if you are the most senior QA person, you should be you should have the space, right? The opportunity to think about how you're going to approach testing, who can help you with what. Because, for instance, right, maybe you work on the automation and the CI/CD pipelines, and but maybe you show somebody how to report the bugs. You would probably be the best person to attend all the technical meetings to provide the insight from a QA perspective. But like correcting outdated story for specifications, that seems like it could be passed off to someone else. So it's all about working together and collaborating. In the agile methodology and Scrum, there is the mindset of that it doesn't all the work doesn't fall on one person, right? People should be able to share the wealth and do other people's jobs. So like if there is a bottleneck at QA, developers should not be putting in new stories to continue to work. They should participate in the testing processes, whatever it is that you deem that they are. So let's say you set up all the infrastructure, because how many times do you have to set up reporting? And how many times do you have to like set up the test automation framework? But them being able to review the results, to automate test cases, that should be something that like that developers can do. And like my company, the developers like they participate in automation just as much as I do. Like I'm because they're also developing. I am primarily the ones, me and my other QA person, we're primarily the ones who are like maintaining the automation framework, writing test cases. But they have like if there's an actual story to get something automated, they have no problem jumping into our automation repository and adding tests and stuff like that. And I would say that is the goal that you would want to aim for your developers, right? So that they can also contribute to the work, because in Agile and Scrum, we're all one team, right? And we have the same common goal. That's what they call a sprint goal. And we need to work together instead of like everyone working in their own silo. There's time that you can work in parallel, but there's times that you have to also support your team. And by supporting your team, you need to be able to come together and say, okay, Mr. QA engineer, Mr. QA test automation engineer, we see that you need some help. We're going to take on this part. You're going to and this other developer is going to take on this part while the other developers keep on working. Because if you allow the developers to keep going ahead, then there's going to be that bottleneck effect where there's going to be so many stories in the backlog that need testing, and then you're never going to get it automated, and then things are never going to go out. So you need to implement a structure where you can work like when everybody can work as a team and meet all of these QA requirements. I would highly suggest talking to your manager and asking your manager to separate, right? To separate, like get you some extra QA engineers, because they don't need that many developers on a team that only has one QA, and that way some can be working on QA and automation, whether it's manual testing and stuff like that, and then the others can continue working on developing, and then you can be in charge of the QA process, and that way you give yourself a little raise or a little promotion, right? And you're leading the QA efforts to make sure that everything is done in a timely fashion and you don't fall behind. All right. So hopefully that was able to help. I was able to give some insight. All right. So let me stop the clock on this one and let's wrap that up.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.